Well, shalom, everybody. Ariel Tzadok here from the KosherTorah School, found online at www.koshertorah.com, bringing to you today's daily lesson in the Sefer Yetzirah. This is lesson 22, 32. Yeah, many people would pause, edit, and change. Not here, guys. With us, you get the raw deal every time. If I slip up and make a mistake, you're going to see it. Why? Because if I want to convince you that everything has to be experiential and real, then you got to see it for yourselves. These classes, as you know, are dedicated to the safety, the health, the well-being, and now the financial prosperity of everybody around the world with all the troubles and trials and tribulations that we're facing. Remember, every obstacle is an opportunity. So let's go look for those opportunities to better ourselves and the world around us. With that being said, let's go into our Mishnah. We are in Mishnah 12 of the Sefer Yetzirah, chapter 1, of course. We're discussing this concept of fire from water. And in our previous lesson, we introduced the topic of angels. Everybody loves to talk about angels. Why? Because they're so cool. Well, let's discuss something about angels. There are different types that are discussed here in our text and in Judaic literature, other than our text, whether it be the Talmud, Maimonides, or even later Zohar. You have elaborations of all these different types of entities, because that's really what an angel is. Now, I remember a question that I was once asked at one of the Alien Con conferences way back. Somebody, a religious man, came and says to me, "Rabbi, you're a man of the Bible. How can you believe in extraterrestrials?" And I said, "Why? Is there a contradiction between these beliefs?" I said, "Let's look at the Bible. The Bible speaks of angels. Angels serve God. Angels are certainly not human beings. Therefore, they are not terrestrial entities. They're not of this earth. They are not of this earth. That makes them extraterrestrial." So there you go. Angels are extraterrestrials. No, it does not mean that they are little green guys on flying saucers with ray guns ready to zap you, klatu barada nikto, and all the rest of that jazz. No, but they are what they are. Remember, our Sefer Yetzirah is here in this chapter to teach us how to experience now the sefirot. We're not talking here theory. We're not here talking academics. This is not a college course. This is an experiential manual. And that is what this chapter is all about. We talk about spirit, the living spirit of life itself, that which we call God, and how it materializes in that form of intuition and enlightenment, and how that materializes in the beginning of construct form of fluidity, and then how that materializes in rigid actual forms of energy. Now, who cares? What do I need all of this spirit to spirit, and spirit to water, and water to fire? I mean, this is a whole bunch of gibberish. No. Remember, we're talking about your mind, our experiences. Share with you a little stuff. As you know, thank God, through the blessings of the great technology of the global internet, I am able to interact with many of you from literally around the world. Just in the last 24 hours, I have communicated with a number of students, men and women alike, who have shared with me their own dreams, images, experiences. In previous classes, I gave you the example of the Chinese philosopher Zhuangzi, who made the statement that he dreamed that he was a butterfly, and that when he awoke, his dream was so real to him that he questioned whether indeed he was a man who dreamed that he was a butterfly, or perhaps he's really a butterfly dreaming he's a man. And I use that as an example to help you understand what we call lucid dreaming, to drive home the point that a lucid dream is not just a figment of your imagination locked inside this cranial capacity of your brain, but it is an actual doorway, access to the fourth dimensional reality surrounding us in what we call the parallel worlds, Seraphim. And as we enter into these domains, we encounter those who live there. Let's be very blunt. If you're to go from the town that you're living in now, and you go to another town, you're a tourist. Well, guess what? Let's say you're wearing I am so-and-so t-shirt, and people of your associated group of identity, religions, that doesn't matter, whatever it is, recognize you and say, hey, welcome, brother and sister. Okay? Here you are now in our town. Let's show you around. So let's say, for example, you just went halfway around the world to another country. You don't know the culture. You don't know the language. You don't know anything around. Well, those who are with you are there to guide you. It's all common sense. We all know this. And if you don't pay attention to your guide, you're going to end up in a whole bunch of trouble. If your guide says, this is the way we go, don't go there. This is what we can eat, don't eat that. You better listen, because your guide knows what he or she is talking about. When you go into the, in quote, other dimensional plane, and your energetic frequency brings to you an equivalent guide, well, that guide is going to guide you to wherever you need to go. This is why we always emphasize the absolute necessity of personality and behavioral refinement before we make this passage. Why? Remember, all you and I are is energetic frequencies. Think of it, if you will, like tuning in a frequency on the FM dial of your radio. You want to listen to classical music. Well, let's say, for example, that's a 96.4. Let's say you want news talk radio. Well, that's at 98.2. Or if you're like me, you like good old classic rock, good old, oldies but goodies stuff. Well, that's on 101.9. It used to be like that in New York City anyway, in the days when I grew up. All right, you have all these different numbers. But what I'm trying to get at is that these are examples of different frequencies. Well, guess what? Your soul, your emanation, your personality, your deeds resonate a frequency in the fourth dimension. And those who live there are going to be attracted to you or repelled by you based on who and what you are. So, one of my students called me up. And he was sharing with me how he met this entity, and the entity brought him through a vortex, and he could see the gates as they were opening, giving him access. I said, yeah, that's pretty much the way it works. And I share with you this so that you can understand that just as this individual ascended, so can you, me, us, we, because this is what's normal for us. When we talk about ascent and experience, this laws, remember the words of the Sefer Yetzirah, these aren't chapters or sections. They're actually called a Mishnah. A Mishnah means like a Torah law. Of all the Kabbalah that I know, all the books, this is the only book that each section is called a Mishnah, other than the famous Code of Law written by Rabbi Yehuda the Prince back in the 2nd century. So this subtly signifies a level of authenticity and authority to this text. It's trying to tell you this is the way it is. So, one of my pet peeves, the way you can tell someone is, let's be blunt, delusional, is they say, yeah, I close my eyes and I meditate, and all of a sudden God is there and God is talking to me, and God and I have this one-on-one personal direct relationship, and God tells me everything that I need to know. Yeah. So what you're saying is that you are so unique and special that you contradict the fundamental laws of nature that God, him, her, itself has made. Yeah, that's right, I'm so special. No, you're not. Sorry. This was the danger of false prophecy that was always known and experienced in the days of the temple, Solomon's temple stuff. Ego aggrandizement. People who think that they have something that they just can't, in spite of, but I experience. I know what you're experiencing. People like this, problems with their ego, often has been involved with drugs and alcohol and stuff that skewer the vision. Remember what I said, when you go into that fourth dimensional other dimension, it's going to draw to you your own calibration. So if you're getting this illusions of grandeur, you should recognize very, very clearly that this is a deceptive soul, just like you are deceiving yourselves. Sorry, guys, but that's the truth. Any and all ascenders know that when you go into the other world, it's a busy, busy place. You don't just get access. For example, if you wanted to go to see the President of the United States in the White House in Washington, you don't just blink your eyes and all of a sudden you're there in the office alone with the President. No, you have to go there. There are many, many people and steps along the way, security guards, Secret Service, and you go through all this stuff, right? And then when you enter the President, there are other people around. Well, it's the same way when you approach, heaven. And if you don't have any of that stuff around, then you really weren't there in spite of what you might believe. These entities, who we say now are fire from water, exist in the forms that were ordained by God. And that is what you must understand. So when we want to experience the sefirot, that's what our whole chapter is talking about here. Our chapter is not here to give you a catechism of doctrine, theology, or dogma. This is the way it is. You must listen. No. It's here to tell you this is what you're going to experience. And if you don't pay attention to the experience, you might gaze and die. You might gaze and go insane. You might gaze and mistakenly see what you do and create chaos as opposed to order. Remember the story? The four who went into the Pardes, recorded in the tractate Hagigah in the Talmud. That's what I'm talking about here. So all we have here is experience. When we're dealing with certain type of entities, for example, the first one's given here, the Seraphim. I have seen so many people who have mistaken the identity. These are the fiery holy ones. No, they're not. Sorry to have to tell you the truth, but they're the reptilians. They're the ones who in chapter 6 of this book are later called the Teli. They're the guardians. They're the watchers. They're not the highest level. They're kind of like in the middle. Some don't even think of them as malachim at all. Whenever we interact in the other dimension, as it makes very clear in the 6th chapter of this book, the Teli, who are the reptilians, the dragons, the holy dragons. The word seraph in Hebrew, go look this up on Wikipedia. I don't make this stuff up. The word seraph means a serpent. Remember it said like Moses put the image of the serpent on the staff to bring people healing? It says seraph. It doesn't say a nachash, snake. Also, the word seraph, all right? This is a very, very important word because who are these reptilians? Well, one of them, let me rephrase that actually. The identity of a reptilian was stolen and used to seduce Adam and Eve characters, as we know from the story in the Garden of Eden. That's why we have the evil serpent, right? It wasn't a serpent, and mind you, the word there is nachash, not seraph. So it's very different. These seraphim, holy dragons, are an ancient indigenous race. They're the ones in Isaiah chapter 6 who say, holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. So if you were to have had Isaiah's vision, and you would have seen these seraphim surrounding the throne, the kisei kavod, which is why they're associated right next to it. Remember what the kisei is. The kavod is that energetic field which materializes the presence of God. And it's energetic. You don't get too close to it because you get zapped. Remember Nadav and Avihu. So these Seraphim are the closest ones who materialize around the kavod and seek, or I shouldn't say seek, but actually interact with and execute its orders. That's why it says in chapter 6 that the Teli in this world are like a king on its throne. That is why we say of these that they're the ones saying holy, holy, holy around the throne, right? These are big guys. These are the ones referred to in the book of Daniel as the watchers. Their job is to watch you and I. You want to complain about the lack of privacy with Big Brother? You know nothing. These guys see your energy. They see your spirit. They see your soul. These are the guides who work with us. And as these are going to take you, now many times when they materialize to you in your dream vision, in your mind, they're going to appear as human beings, right? They don't want to freak you out by taking a look at you like an old Chinese dragon. But if you ever saw a real Teli, you might see them like with gold-scaled skin, standing very tall and thin, wearing big robes and stuff like that. That's what a real seraph looks like. And they are trans-dimensional beings. They've evolved beyond our limited space here. And as such, they serve. Now, they will show you the transportation device that you need to get to from point A to point B, which we call the Merkava. And now we have the association of the Ofanim and the Hayot HaKodesh, which are other types of living forms. Now, and then we speak about the angels of service, Malachei Sharet. And these are the ones that are behind the function, the mobility, the vibrancy of our four-dimensional reality around us, which then vibrates and materializes into the form of letters, which gives rise to material matter construct here in our earth. And that's why it says here, Ume Shalosh Tam, from the three being spirit, air, water, and fire. This is the Yasad Me'ono. God's, if you will, presence, the Shekhinah, is established. And that's why they quote the verse from Psalms, Oseh malachav ruchot, misharatav esh lohet. God's servants, messengers, the word angel in Hebrew is malach, which means messenger, are the forces of nature itself. Yeah, even the coronavirus is a malach of Hashem. I don't understand that. I was told it's just DNA wrapped in a protein. Yeah? Well, somehow, somewhere, it's acting by some form or force of intelligence. How does it know to reproduce itself? Because it wants to live. There's something in it. How can you deny that? Oh, it's all nature. Of course it's all nature. God is the author of nature. And if you want to experience the higher nature, dispel of the fantasy of thinking, it's just you and me, God, nothing else exists, I don't need any of this, I don't need any of that, because you don't exist in a bubble. You don't exist in isolation. You exist in a real world that's even greater, because there's a higher world that you don't experience. And if you want to experience it, then you're going to have to go down the yellow brick road that the way it guides. I don't make the rules. You don't make the rules. The universe itself is divine and ordained by God, is what it is. And if you want to ascend, then, something you could choose, whether you want to do it for real or you want to do it for play. You want to do children's playing toys, then play in the sandbox as a kid and say, yeah, I do this, I do that. Great. Be a child. I don't care. It might take you thousands of incarnations, but eventually you'll grow up. But just in case you want to grow up now, understand that the way you're going to experience the sefirot will be through the materialization of their forms, through those entities which embrace their essence. You will encounter the Seraphim, just as did Isaiah. You will encounter the Merakava, just as did Ezekiel. You will encounter the watchers, even as did Daniel. And there are so many, in quote, secrets about this. Oh, not information and knowledge that I can just pass on to you with words, but what you have to experience for yourselves. And if you follow the path as outlined in this book and the other teachings that I teach in our Sefer Yetzirah meditative courses, well, then welcome to the Yellow Brick Road. Let's walk down on our way to meet the wizard, the wonderful wizard, not of Oz, but of Aravot. Alrighty, guys, I ran out of time. Do you understand here the nature and the importance of this type of experience and why it's here? This is the foundation of what we call Ma'aseh Merkavah and the foundation of prophetic Kabbalah and everything I teach here at KosherTorah School. You're interested? You know what to do. Check out our course page, see what I have to offer you, and do it. You'd be surprised who's already watching and waiting for you to take the next step. Ariel Bar Tzadok here, KosherTorah School, KosherTorah.com. I'll see you in our next class. Shalom.